Well, howdy there, folks. This is your host, ID Jester. Welcome back to Marvel Heroes 2015 edition as we count down the 18 most powerful heroes in the game. Last episode, we looked at what was he? Number 8, Wolverine. Now we're going to be looking at the 7th most powerful hero in the game. And again, I'm going to refresh and talk about this one more time. Probably do it a couple more times, actually. Any of these top 10 heroes are awesome heroes. Any way you look at it, any of the top 10, 15 of them are, can be, decked out to be ultra powerful. It comes down to very slight differences between, number 7 and number 8. But number 7 happens to be, dun dun dun, Spider-Man. Yes, Spider-Man has come out of nowhere. He was probably one of the least most powerful heroes not too long ago, but they made some changes, kind of updated his mechanics with the newer, some of the newer mechanics where you choose a power and then choose a subcategory of these powers. And, he definitely wasn't one of the most powerful heroes, but now with his new upgrades, his new powers, his new item stats and everything, Spider-Man actually does a lot of damage. Kind of, I would say, previous to his update, he was probably maybe 20th most powerful, but he's moved all the way up to number 7 in my eyes. One of the main reasons is because he has a totally amazing signature power that he can activate every 25 seconds. Not only that, it does a ton of damage and restores 50% of his maximum spirit, which definitely helps keep him in the game and keeps him, being able to attack enemies, to keep that DPS level up nice and high. 25 seconds, you're going to be getting 50% of your spirit back. So definitely helps. And the fact that you're never ever going to lose, miss out on this attack, because it actually webs in people, draws them in, kind of like Venom also has a similar power, kind of webs everybody in. And I can literally have used this power where I have seen 5 or 6 brutal strikes on the screen that are at least 2 million each. So when you're putting out between 10 to 15 million points of damage with one attack, that is very, very powerful. Not only that, but it can be done every 25 seconds, as we already mentioned. His other kind of default attack power is pretty decent. You can see just his regular Joe attack does between 53 and 80,000 points of damage. And of course, it's based upon extra damage based upon his dodge rating. So that's kind of the new mechanic, not new mechanic, but kind of the new thing they've added. They made Spider-Man a lot more dodgy than he was previously, which means he doesn't take a lot of damage. He dodges a lot of attacks. He does have quite a different abilities to build the character. He definitely has some range powers. He's got some melee powers. He's got some, passive power, which, depending on which you choose, is going to alter a bunch of your other powers. Of course, we went with the Spider Fighter there. He has the very, very nice web spray power. Best thing about this, very, very fast attack. Does some pretty decent damage, but it slows enemies, makes them vulnerable. And even makes them vulnerable 3 seconds after they leave the webbing. So not only do they have to fight through the webbing, it'll leave them vulnerable for a little bit longer. So that way you can do that much more damage. The Archnod Assault, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, is a very fast power where you can basically become invulnerable for the whole duration of this. Again, very dodgy. And of course, his Spider Pummel, which makes him come down, striking 3 enemies very fast, is, obviously a very decent power. And of course, the Leaping Assault, has a nice area of effect. His rank wise, you can see his ranks are pretty reasonable. We have a 40, a 40, 42, which are, pretty standard-ish, but then we also have a 26, we have a 44, and we have a 48, which are, really nice stats, and again, another 42. So just compare these with the other heroes we've been looking at. Seems like most of them are pretty equal with the other heroes, but then he does have a few that are, very high. The 48, passive power, awesome, which is, the mechanic we're going to be using, the special new mechanic. The main thing is his whole kind of dodgy, makes him so much harder to hit now for the enemies. Makes him, takes a lot less damage because of that, which lets him stay in the game a lot longer. Before that mechanic and his bonuses to all of his dodge ability, he was very kind of squishy before. A couple hits and he'd be knocked out. Now with the new dodge, he can withstand a hit or two, and not withstand the hit, but basically dodge more attacks, so that way he would take less damage to begin with. In fact, if we look at his stats, you can see he has a 54% damage reduction, which is huge, huge, huge. I think that's probably the second highest one of all of the heroes we've looked at so far in the top 18. He doesn't show a very high damage rating, but that's probably because a lot of his items and abilities are kind of hidden behind the scenes. 32% chance when you land a brutal strike to gain extra melee damage rating. That isn't going to be built into a lot of the stats. His items seem to be pretty well rounded. We have 3 powers to all ranks there. We have 2 ranks to all powers there. We have 2 ranks to all powers there. We have 1 rank to all power, and we have 3 ranks. So we have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 ranks to all powers just on his normal items. Compare that with some of the other heroes that we've looked at previously. Really puts him in, the top echelon. Definitely in the top 10. Health-wise, spirit-wise, he seems to be, doesn't run into too many issues with running out of health or running out of spirit. Of course, we already looked at the fact that he gets a lot of spirit back from his amazing smash, which is great. The ability to prevent enemies from getting away from him is really good. Webbing them in, and then of course using our leaping assault, our spider brawl powers, and our arch nod assault, and of course our spider pummel. Easy for me to say. Definitely, kind of rounds out his character. As far as his ultimate power goes, it's very similar to his Arachnid. Arachnid Assault. Yeah, I knew I was saying that wrong. Now it makes a little more sense. Arachnid Assault. Apologize for that. But anyways, looks like we have, 25 hits in an area around. So boom, 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 boom. Multiply 300,000 times 25, and you're going to end up with a whole lot of damage and a nice buff to kind of boost you afterwards. Regenerate some health, some extra critical hit and brutal strike rating, some damage rating for a nice 20 seconds afterwards. The fact that, some of his powers now make him invulnerable for the duration of the power makes it, totally awesome. One of the hero bosses is ready to perform one of his, devastating attacks on you. You activate this, you're invulnerable, and it lasts. I think this last power lasts for like 2 seconds ish, somewhere around there. So you have a good opportunity to be able to dodge somebody's major attack, and not only that, but you're doing actual damage to them while you're doing that, which keeps him in the fight even longer, which makes his DPS go up that much higher, which makes him a more powerful hero all around. Again, if we look at his stat line, pretty reasonable stat line. Nice rating in strength, and nice rating in fighting. The damage reduction is just through the roof great. Of course, most of that's going to be based upon his dodge rating and his defenses. If you look at this other stat line here, it looks like 53% chance for crits, which is very nice score. And of course, 51% for brutal strike. Again, really nice scores there. So nice scores, nice powers, nice combination. Seems to be very, very kind of quick powers. Nothing, not nothing that takes a whole bunch of wind up to or delays or anything like that. Activate the power and it happens. Very quick, kind of jumping around and dodging and moving and weaving and bobbing. Make him very hard to hit. And of course, the more less damage you take, the longer you can stay in the fight. Spirit issues were a problem with him before, but now most of that's been eradicated with the ability to get 50% of your maximum spirit back every 25 seconds. You still occasionally can run out of spirit. Occasionally where you've used a bunch of powers, then you activate this, you use a bunch of powers, activate this, and then by then you only have a little bit of spirit left. Activate your powers, and this hasn't recooled yet. So I mean, occasionally you can run out of powers, but mostly you can stay in the fight. What really sets him apart is the ability to just do a massive amount of damage with this power. Several bosses in one area can take several million points of damage with one hit, and that is just a huge ability. Huge ability. His passive powers here are obviously very good. Really, 46 ranks in this gives him nice defensive rating, gives him nice dodge rating. And I think he has where is his other passive power? Oh, of course, the spider DNA, which is going to give him tenacity, regenerate some health, maximum spirit, move and attack speed, critical hit and brutal strike, dexterity for you and your allies, and then of course, depending on which option you choose, a big buff to a lot of your other powers. So good ultimate power, not great, but pretty decent. You are kind of limited to an area, so if for whatever reason bosses end up leaving that area, you can miss out on it. But all around, damaging, multiple hits, 3 hits there, 8 hits here, 25 hits with your ultimate power. This is going to hit multiple enemies at the same time when you draw them in as well. So very good at taking out a lot of creatures, a lot of enemies really fast. And even the tough bosses tend to go down pretty quickly when he uses his upper echelon powers. His default attack is decent. Doesn't do a lot of extra damage, but it does a decent amount. But focusing in on more of the arachnid assault and the leaping assault, and of course webbing them constantly, which is really good. So Spider-Man ends up being number 7 most powerful hero in the game. Definitely did a great job of updating him. I'm not sure when they actually did the update. I think it was probably about 5 or 6 months ago. I think it was early 2015 is when they upgraded Spider-Man. Plenty of, as we looked, plenty of ranks from his items. The items seem to give him really good hidden stats. It might not show up in the stat line, but a great damage reduction, so he can stay in the fight a lot longer than he used to be able to. And he's moved all the way up to our 7th most powerful hero in the game. So thanks for watching, and watch for number 6 most powerful hero in the game to come shortly. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.